Hi sweet friends, I'm Sprout. Today we're making this soft little panda, holding the cutest tiny bamboo. You can find the PDF in my Etsy shop. It makes it easier to follow along without rewinding. And it includes the stitch counts for each round. Don't worry, you can follow right along with the video. Let's get started. For this project, we'll be using DK weight cotton yarn with a 2.0mm crochet hook. We'll start with the panda's head, using white yarn here. We'll start by making a slip knot. This knot doesn't count as a stitch. Bring the hook under and around the yarn. Then yarn over from above and pull through. Tighten gently to make a knot. Just make the slip knot in whatever way feels comfortable for you. For round 1, we'll start by chaining 7. Just take your time with it. Once you have your 7 chains, we'll turn back and start in the second chain from the hook. Then just make 5 single crochets into the back bumps here, nice and steady. For the back bumps, just flip your chain over. You'll see those little raised ridges along the back. That's where we'll go in. This part can feel a little tricky to work into, so just take it nice and slow here. Start in the second back bump from the end, and just make 5 single crochets from there. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through both loops. That's a single crochet. Place a marker in the first stitch. Then just continue across 4 or 5 single crochets. In the last stitch, just work 3 single crochets into the same stitch. Now turn to the other side and work 4 single crochets, then 1 increase. You'll have 14 stitches in total. This first stitch here, we'll skip it. It's the last stitch from the other side. Just pick up the remaining stitches, working under the full V. Just press the yarn gently. Remove the marker and go back to the first stitch. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Yarn over, pull through, and through the loop on the hook. That completes the slip stitch, and that's the first round done. Nice and steady. For round 2, make 6 single crochets, then 1 increase. Repeat that twice. You'll end with 16 stitches. Start with a chain 1. Alright, let's keep going. Place your marker in the first stitch. Just make 6 single crochets here, then 1 increase. 2 stitches into the same stitch. And repeat that section, same rhythm. Remove the marker and slip stitch to join. And that's round 2 finished. Now we'll move into round 3. Start with an increase, then 5 single crochets, 3 increases, 5 single crochets, then 2 increases. You'll have 22 stitches here. Place your marker in the first stitch. Make 1 increase. Then 5 single crochets. Three increases here. Five single crochets. Then 2 increases. Remove the marker. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And that's round 3 done. It's taking shape. Round 4. 2 increases, 5 single crochets, 6 increases, 5 single crochets, then 4 increases, 34 stitches total. Start with a chain 1. Place a marker in the first stitch. Two increases here. Five single crochets. Six increases. Five single crochets. Just keep going here. For increases, remove the marker. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And that's round 4 finished. 4 rounds 5 to 7. We'll just single crochet around with no increases. This part repeats all the way around. Place your marker in the first stitch. Just keep going at your own pace. I'll stay right here with you. Remove the marker and slip stitch to join. That's round 5 done. I'll let this part run a little quicker. You can just follow at your own pace here. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And that's round 7 complete. It's looking really nice. Now we'll start round 8. Start with a chain 1. Place a marker in the first stitch. Make 1 increase. Alright, let's begin. Just make 12 single crochets here. Then 1 increase. 2 single crochets. Then another increase. 14 single crochets. You've got 14 single crochets now. 1 increase. 2 single crochets. Remove the marker. Go back to the first stitch. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And that's round 8 complete. Nice and steady. You'll have 38 stitches in total. For rounds 9 through 11, we'll just single crochet around with no increases. Start round 9 with a chain 1. Place your marker in the first stitch. This part repeats all the way around. Remove the marker. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And that's round 9 finished. I'll let this part run a little quicker. Just take your time here. I'll be right here with you. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And that's round 11 complete. It's coming together nicely. Now we'll move into round 12. Start with a chain 1. Start with 12 single crochets. Place your marker in the first stitch. Single crochets here. Then make 3 decreases. For the decrease, let's take a quick look. Each stitch looks like a V shape. We'll go through the front loops only, the ones closest to us. Insert into the front loop of the first stitch, then into the next front loop. Yarn over. Yarn over. Pull through both loops. That's 1 decrease. Then 12 single crochets. Three decreases. 2 single crochets. Remove the marker. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And that's round 12 done. You'll have 32 stitches. Round 13, we'll make 16 decreases. You'll have 16 stitches total. This is the final round. Start with a chain 1. Place your marker in the first stitch. Just repeat 16 decreases all the way around. Remove the marker. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Chain 1 here. Leave a long tail for sewing. Just keep it a bit longer. Pull the yarn tight. Now you can start stuffing, and set it aside for now. Once the stuffing feels right, we'll shape the face. There are 2 little cheeks here. Just adjust them gently. This slip stitch sits on the side, so this direction is the front. While stuffing, just shape the cheeks as you go. You can finish the rest at your own pace. Now let's move on to the body. We'll be using white and black yarn. Start with white yarn first. We'll begin again with the foundation chain, chain 13. Once you have 13 chains, we'll work back with 11 single crochets, again working into the back bumps. You can place a marker in the first stitch. In the last stitch, make 3 single crochets. Then work 10 single crochets along the other side, and 1 increase. Alright, working into the back bumps here. It can feel a little tight on this side, so just slow down a bit, but it helps keep the fabric closed, so it looks really clean. Nice and neat overall. Remove the marker and go back to the first stitch. Slip stitch to join. And that's the first round done. You should have 26 stitches. For round 2, make 12 single crochets, then 1 increase. Repeat twice, 28 stitches total. Start with a chain 1. Place your marker in the first stitch. Just work 12 single crochets here. Then 1 increase. Repeat that twice. Remove the marker. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And that's round 2 finished. For round 3, just single crochet around. Start with a chain 1. Place your marker in the first stitch. This part repeats all the way around. Take your time here. Remove the marker and go back to the first stitch. Slip stitch to join. And that's round 3 complete. For round 4, make 12 single crochets, then 1 decrease. Repeat that twice. You'll have 26 stitches. Start with a chain 1. Place a marker in the first stitch. Alright, let's keep going. Just make 12 single crochets here. Then 1 decrease. Repeat that twice, same rhythm. Remove the marker and go back to the first stitch. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And that's this round done. For round 5, just single crochet around. Start with a chain 1. Place your marker in the first stitch. This part repeats all the way around. Take your time here. Remove the marker. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. That finishes this round. Round 6. Make 11 single crochets, then 1 decrease. Repeat twice. 24 stitches total. Start with a chain 1. Place your marker in the first stitch. Just keep going here. For round 6, we'll start with 11 single crochets, then 1 decrease. Repeat twice, nice and steady. Start with a chain 1. Place your marker in the first stitch. Make 11 single crochets. 1 decrease. Repeat twice. Remove the marker. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And we're done with this round. For round 7, just single crochet around. Start with a chain 1. Place your marker in the first stitch. Same idea all the way around, just settle into it. Remove the marker. For the last stitch here, we'll switch to black yarn. Just bring in your black yarn. Hold it behind your work and pull it through. Then slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Gently tighten both yarns. Just keep it neat here, so the color change looks clean. That completes this section. You can go ahead and cut the white yarn here. For round 8, we'll work with black yarn now. It may feel a little tighter here, so just take your time. For round 8, make 10 single crochets, then 1 decrease. Repeat twice. You'll have 22 stitches. Start with a chain 1. Place a marker in the first stitch. Ten single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that twice. Remove the marker, then slip stitch into the first stitch to join. And that's round 8 complete. For round 9, make 9 single crochets, then 1 decrease. Repeat twice. You'll have 20 stitches. Make 9 single crochets, then 1 decrease. Repeat that twice. Just be careful not to miss any stitches. Remove the marker and slip stitch into the first stitch to join. That finishes this round. For round 10, we'll work 3 single crochets and 1 decrease as a set, repeating that 4 times, 16 stitches total. I like to place a marker in the first stitch. It really helps keep track and makes counting a lot easier. Just make 3 single crochets, then 1 decrease, and repeat that 4 times, nice and steady. Remove the marker, then slip stitch into the first stitch to join, just like that. Chain 1. Leave a long tail, and cut the yarn. And that completes the body. Now we can add some stuffing. Just a small amount is enough. We'll sew it to the head later. Next, let's make the arms. They're worked in black, but I'm using green here so it's a bit easier to see the stitches. We'll start with a magic ring. Make 7 single crochets into the ring. I like to make my slip knot this way. It doesn't count as a stitch, but you can do it however feels comfortable for you. We'll work 7 single crochets into the ring. Just take your time here. Insert your hook into the loop. Then bring the yarn over from above and pull it through. You can place a marker in the first stitch. Here it helps keep everything easy to track. Once you have 7 stitches, pull the ring tight. slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Here's a little tip. Pull it nice and snug, so you don't end up with any gaps in the center. From here through round 5, we'll just make 7 single crochets each round. No increases or decreases, just keep the same rhythm here. Each round starts with a chain 1, and it doesn't count as a stitch. At the end of each round, just slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Nice and steady. And that completes round 5. For the last stitch, we won't slip stitch to join this time, just leave it as it is. You can add a little bit of stuffing here. It helps give it a nicer shape and makes it feel more full. Now we'll move into round 6. This is our final round. Pay a little attention to where you're inserting here. Go through the first stitch, then into the stitch directly across from it, connecting the two together. Make 1 single crochet here, just like that. And just repeat that until you've made 3 single crochets, nice and steady. Once that's done, just chain 1 to secure it. Leave a longer tail here. Then, go ahead and cut the yarn, nice and easy. In the end, we'll make 2 of these using black yarn, just the same way. Next, let's make the legs. They're done in black yarn. Here, I'm using green just to show it clearly. The legs are very similar to the arms, just with a slightly different stitch count. We'll start with a magic ring, make 8 single crochets. Place a marker in the first stitch. Once you have 8 stitches, pull the ring tight. Remove the marker. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Yarn under here. And that's round 1, done. For rounds 2 through 5, just single crochet around. Start with a chain 1. Place your marker in the first stitch. Just repeat 8 single crochets. Remove the marker and slip stitch to join. That finishes round 2. Trim the yarn tail and turn it right side out. I'll let this part run a little quicker. Just take your time and follow at your own pace. I'll be right here with you. For the last stitch in round 5, we won't join this time. Go ahead and add stuffing. After stuffing, insert into the first stitch and into the opposite side. Hold it folded and make 4 single crochets. Chain 1 and fasten off. Leave a long tail for sewing. Make 2 legs the same way. Now, let's move on to the bamboo. Start with a magic ring. Make 6 single crochets. Place a marker in the first stitch. Once you have 6 stitches, pull the ring tight. Remove the marker. Slip stitch into the first stitch to join. Yarn under across the hook. And that's round 1 complete. For rounds 2 and 3, just 6 single crochets around. Start with a chain 1. Place your marker, if needed. Once you finish 6 stitches, find the first stitch and slip stitch to join. Tighten gently. You can trim the unused yarn inside. Turn it right side out. And that's round 2 complete. Round 3 is the same, just keep the rhythm. Slip stitch to join. That finishes round 3. For round 4, work into the back loop only. That's the inner loop here. The one farther from you. Start with a chain 1. Don't miss the first stitch. Go into the back loop. Make 6 single crochets. Slip stitch to join. Round 4 is done. Rounds 5 and 6 are the same. Just 6 single crochets. Slip stitch to join. Round 5 complete. Round 6 is the same. Just keep going. For finishing, you can do an invisible join. Leave a small tail and cut the yarn. Insert through the first stitch from the inside. Pull the yarn through. Then go back into the last stitch. Through the back loop. Just weave through a few stitches to secure it. Once secured, trim the yarn. That completes the bamboo. Now let's make the leaves. We'll work the leaves into the front loops left from round 4. You can go into any stitch here. Just try to avoid the seam area. Turn the seam toward the back so the front stays nice and clean. Insert your hook into a stitch and pull the yarn through. Lay the yarn tail along your work to hold it in place. Chain 3 to begin. Then work back from the second chain, making 2 single crochets. Just finish the first and second single crochet. Go back into the base stitch and slip stitch to join. Pull it gently snug, and one side of the leaf is done. Chain 3 again, then work 2 single crochets back the same way. Still in the same stitch, slip stitch to finish the second leaf. Leave a longer tail here. We'll use it to finish off. Using a needle can help keep everything neat. You can go back into the same stitch, or come out through any nearby stitch. If you want the leaves to stand up a bit more, secure the center with a small stitch. Once the yarn comes through, trim it, and do the same for the other tail. You can also use your hook to pull the tail to the back and hide it. Trim any extra yarn and tuck short ends inside the piece. And that's your little bamboo leaf all finished. Once all the pieces are ready, we can start attaching the head to the body. Turn the slip stitch on the body toward the right side. And do the same for the head. Line the head and body up, finding the center position. Once it looks aligned, turn to the back side. And locate the stitch that matches the slip stitch. Find the stitch just behind that slip stitch. And begin sewing from there. Sew 1 stitch 2, 1 stitch all the way around. As you sew, adjust the stuffing and keep the head and body straight. Check that everything is aligned, then go ahead and hide the yarn. Weave the yarn into the back of the head. After a couple of passes, you can cut the yarn. And now the head and body are securely joined. Next, let's attach the arms. No need to turn them right side out. Just place either side facing up, whatever feels easier. Position the arm along the side of the body, around the center. Line it up with the black section on the body. Take a moment to check the placement first. Once it looks right, insert your needle into the body, then into the arm. Work back and forth, 1 stitch in the body, 1 in the arm, to secure it. Adjust both sides until they look even and balanced. If it feels loose, just add a few more stitches. To hold the shape, you can use a bit of glue or add extra stitches between the arm and body. If sewing, guide the yarn to a good position on the arm. Then go back and forth a few more times to secure it. If sewing feels tricky, you can also glue the base of the arm. Once secured, go ahead and cut the yarn. Both arms are now attached. Repeat the same steps for the other side. Next, we'll attach the legs using the same method. Place them near the decrease area on the body. Compare both sides and adjust for symmetry. The legs are sewn the same way. Just find a comfortable position and secure them. Once fixed, bring the yarn out through the black section and trim it. And now the arms and legs are all attached. Next, let's make the ears. Place them about 3 to 5 rounds below round 2. Each ear takes up 3 stitches. Around the middle of the head, you'll see 4 increased sections from earlier rounds. Count from the first one, then go into the stitch below the 3rd increase. Check the placement so it spans 3 stitches evenly. Use the same method on the other side to keep it balanced. Again, count to the 3rd increase and adjust forward 1 stitch if needed. If it's hard to count, finish one side first, then match the other. Once placed, insert your hook and pull the yarn through, holding the tail along your work. Chain 1 to begin. In the same stitch, make 1/2 double crochet. Yarn over, insert, pull through 2 loops, then pull through the remaining 2. Repeat 4 times in that same stitch. Each ear spans 3 stitches in total. In the next stitch, make 1/2 double crochet. Then slip stitch to finish, and 1 ear is done. Leave a long tail for finishing. Cut the short tail and use the long one to weave in. Secure around the base a couple of times to help the ear stand up. Bring the yarn out anywhere, trim it, and tuck the end inside. That completes one side. Now, let's make the other. Keep the height and position consistent with the first ear. Find the matching row. One side works bottom up, the other top down. The steps are the same chain, 1, then 1/2 double crochet in the same stitch. For double crochets in the next stitch. Then 1/2 double crochet in the last stitch. Finish with a slip stitch, leave a long tail, and weave it in. Just keep both ears even and symmetrical. Next, let's attach the eyes, the mouth, and the bamboo. Place the mouth where you marked it earlier. Tilting the eyes a little can give it more character. Place the other eye the same way. Once you add glue, place the pieces quickly, then press gently to secure. Attach the nose and mouth one by one. Check the placement first, then press to fix. Place the bamboo at the center of the body. Add a small amount of glue near the first round join. Hold the bamboo in place. Add a bit more glue if you want it to stand up. Adjust the angle so the leaves point upward. If the arms don't sit well, add a little glue to secure them. Attach the arms to hold the bamboo. And now the main assembly is almost done. You can add blush if you like. Just a light touch on the cheeks. And that completes your panda with bamboo. Just weave in all the ends. Shape it gently, and adjust the form. And your cute little panda is all finished. If you get stuck at any point, feel free to leave a comment. I'm always happy to help. I'd love to see your finished piece, and I'll see you in the next one.